Good morning, Cardinals. So today we're going to be making chocolate chip cookies with Mrs. Cuadrado. And you might be thinking, but she teaches math. What is she doing this? So we're going to be making regular cookies so anybody can join us. And then at the end, I'm going to have some math challenges for grades probably 3 and up. Okay? So here we go. I need to have all my ingredients ready. But first of all, before you even start cooking, always, but especially right now when we need to be so careful about germs, you always need to wash your hands before you do something and put your hair up. Nobody likes hair in their food. So I'm washing my hands right now with soap and water, not just rinsing them, okay guys? And remember, for 20 seconds. I had actually washed them already, but I just wanted to show you that you need to do that every time that you start cooking. That was my oven. I'm preheating my oven to 350 degrees so that my oven is ready and warm when my cookies are ready to go in the oven. Okay, so the ingredients I'm going to need today are going to be flour, sugar, baking soda, not baking powder, okay, baking soda, brown sugar, butter, salt, and vanilla. And of course, chocolate chips and 2 eggs. So the first thing I need to do is I had my butter out already for several minutes, and now it's kind of soft so it can be beaten properly. I'm going to be using 2 sticks of butter. I know that's a lot, but we're going to have lots of cookies too. Okay, so I'm going to be beating them in my mixer, and once they're nice, it's nice and soft, I'm going to be adding the sugar. We're going to be talking about how to measure ingredients because ingredients are measured differently depending on what ingredient you have. So I put my butter into the mixer right now, and pardon the noise, it's going to be a little bit noisy. I should know how to mute this, but I really don't. So I'm just going to be mixing it right now, as you can see. This right there in the mixer. And in the meantime, I'm going to start measuring my sugar. So I need 3/4 of a cup of sugar. Well, when I look at my measuring cups, I have 1/4, 1/3, 1/2, and 1 cup. I do not have 3/4 or 3/4. So what I need to do is either I could use 1/4 3 times, or I know that 1/2 plus 1/4 equals 3/4. So I'm going to use this. For regular sugar, you only need to pour it and level it. And now I'm going to show you how to do that. So you pour it, make sure you don't spill, and then I kind of usually just use the back of my measuring spoons, and then you level. Okay? Well, this one doesn't work because it's not long enough. Now that my butter is nice and soft, and I'm going to show you what it looks like. Looks like this, just so you guys see. It's nice and soft. I can start adding the sugar. So that is 1/2 of sugar, and I said I was going to use 1/2 and 1/4. So now I need the 1/4 cup. I just made a big old mess, but I'm going to clean it all up. Again, like I told you, you need to make sure that you level and do not put heaping cups. So there's 1 cup of regular sugar. Now, for the brown sugar, that's a little bit different than regular sugar. You actually need to pack it, kind of like as if you were doing sandcastles. If you were making sandcastles in the sand, then you have to really pack the sugar into the measuring cup. So here's some sugar. And again, I need also 3/4 or 3/4. So I'm going to use the 1/2 cup first. And you see how I'm just kind of pouring it in. And then that's why your hands need to be so clean, because guess what? You're going to be packing it. And I'm going to be reusing this that I just spilled. My counters were super clean when we started, so I'm not worried about that. But I'm going to use the piece of paper to make things easier. So here we go. There it is. So look, well packed, and the reason why I know it's well packed, I could actually make a little brown sugar cake. See that? And I'm gonna put it right in there. And now I need a 1/4 cup of brown sugar. Some people ask, oh, can I just use regular sugar if I don't have any brown sugar? Not really. I mean, I guess you could, but your cookies wouldn't taste so good. Brown sugar has a much richer flavor, so you kind of do need that. And here's my other little 1/4 cup brown sugar cake. And you do not need to do this. I could have just poured it straight from here into the mixer. So I'm gonna mix this really well again, so that my sugar and my butter is well mixed. So now that it's nicely mixed and it's all smooth, I'm gonna be adding my eggs one at a time. So I'm gonna get 2 eggs out of the fridge. Now I have 2 eggs. So I'm going to put the first egg in. And then I'm going to put, I'm going to mix a little bit. And I'm going to add my second egg. You do not have a mixer at home, it doesn't matter. You can actually make it too at home. You just need a mixing bowl, a strong arm, and one of these whisks. And you can really mix it all together and it would be just fine too. And maybe you can send an email to Coach saying that you did some arm exercises today. Alright, so now this is all mixed and it's nice and well blended, as you guys can tell. It's just gonna wait right here, because now what I need to do is measure my powders, which means my flour, baking soda, and salt. And when we do flour, it's the same thing. We do not pack the flour. We kind of just scoop it in and then level it, okay? So flour, I need 2 cups and a 1/4. So I'm gonna be using my large measuring cup. So I'm gonna need 2 of these and 1/4 of a cup, all right? So I'm going to use my 1/4 cup to kind of scoop things and put it right in there. I don't know if you noticed that it's falling into my paper, and then I can just use it again. So I'm going to actually go over, and then I'm going to level it. And the fact that I use the back of a knife or a flat surface is that way you can just go all the way across the measuring cup and you have a nice level scoop. I'm going to be putting it in here, and you guys, when recipes call for sifting powders or flour or something, you need to use either like a colander, a strainer like this, or one of these antique things that I inherited from my grandmother. She loved to cook, and I think that's where I got the love of cooking from. So I'm going to be using hers because I think it's great. So you put the flour right in there. That was just 1 cup, right? So I need 2 cups of flour. So that's my first cup. I could have scooped or just poured the way I did it just now. Here's my second cup of flour. And then I need 1/4 of a cup, right? So I need to find my measuring cup wherever I left it. See, that's the problem. I'm not used to doing this. And now I just lost my measuring cup. Well, this is strange. But anyways, oh, here it is. Here's my 1/4 cup. And I'm just going to use what I have right here. And again, I'm going to be leveling it as well. Oh wait, I found it. So I still need a little bit more. And now that it's like that, I'm just going to level it. And 2 cups and a quarter of flour. I'm going to put my flour that is filled back into the container. And now my recipe also calls for half a teaspoon of salt. And you might be wondering, why are we adding salt to something that is sweet? And the reason we do that is because when you add salt, it actually brings out the sweetness and flavors, and it actually makes all of the other flavors taste better. So the chocolate and everything that you're putting in will actually have better flavor. So I need half a teaspoon of salt. So measuring spoons also come in different measurements. There's a quarter teaspoon, a half a teaspoon, and then a 1 teaspoon. So I'm going to be using the half teaspoon salt. Same thing, you do not want it overflowing, you want it leveled, otherwise it's much more than you need. And I also need 1 teaspoon of baking soda. So here's I could use 2 half teaspoons, or I could use the 1 teaspoon measure. And same thing here, you do not want it heaping, you want it to be nicely leveled. It goes right in here. So I'm done with that. And now I'm going to be sifting. Basically just means straining it and mixing all the powders together, okay? If you didn't have this apparatus that I showed you, you can use a sifter. And I'm going to show you just so you guys see what it would be like. You just go like this and sift it all. This helps you mix all of those powders together so that you don't end up with parts that have a lot of baking soda or a lot of salt in your cookies. And then you would have a salty cookie and then some other cookies that were not salty. And it also removes any kind of things that you might not want in your, like flour that sometimes ends up being kind of bunched together. So that's it for sifting the powders. I'm going to be adding all of these powders onto my my mixture right here. And last but not least, I'm gonna add 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Okay, so I'm gonna measure it also with a measuring spoon, and then just pour it right in there. And then I'm gonna start this all over again. However, I don't want to start my mixer on a high speed because all of that flour is just going to come flying. So I'm just going to start it at a very slow speed. And you do not want to overbeat things or your cookies are going to be tough. Nobody likes tough cookies. So now that it's kind of partially blended, I'm going to add my chocolate chips, and I'm going to add 1 cup of chocolate chips. So I'm measuring it right here too. There it is, 1 cup of chips. Put them in there. Mix them, and now it's time to start scooping them onto my cookie sheets. You can grease your cookie sheet, you can just add one of these silicone mats, or you could use parchment paper. Either one works, and it's just to prevent sticking. Bring this down from here, and I think my video is stopping. Not even sure. I need my assistant to come help me and fix my video because there's something going on. It says that my battery's running low, so I'm not even sure if I'm recording anymore or not. So he's gonna have to press a close button, and hopefully we continue recording. I'm not even sure. But if you missed me, basically all I did was I added the powders, I mixed it a little bit, added the chocolate chips, 1 cup, and now I'm ready to scoop or drop my cookies into my cookie sheets. I could use, if I want them all to be kind of like the same size, I could use like a small cookie scoop like this. Just drop them like that. circles. That is one way. Sure, they end up nice and even. So then you could actually do fractions, right? Because they would all be like equal parts. Or you could just use a regular spoon and do this. And drop it with your finger. This is kind of faster. Alright? So once you have your whole cookie sheet filled, you put them in a 350-degree oven for approximately 10 to 12 minutes. But keep an eye on them, because remember, ovens sometimes can be different. And where my oven might just take 10 minutes, yours might take a little bit shorter or longer. So I don't want to tell you to leave them for a certain amount of time and then have your cookies be burned. So here, I'm just going to do this. Do that. We'll continue doing this while some of these cookies are in the oven, and then I'm going to actually have a challenge for many of you in math. Many of you have been asking me, where do we use fractions? So I hope you just realize that in baking some delicious chocolate chip cookies, we use fractions all the time. So, there you go. My cookies are nicely spaced. You cannot put them together, too close together, or they're gonna stick. So I'm putting them in the oven, in the middle rack. And they're gonna be there for like 10 minutes. So while I do this other cookie sheet so that it's ready to go in the oven when my other cookies come out, I want you guys to look at this. So here's the recipe for the cookies we just made today. Alright, so I'm gonna, there you go. 2 1/4 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, half a teaspoon of salt, 1 cup of butter, which equals 2 sticks, 3/4 cup of sugar, 3/4 cups of brown sugar, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, 2 eggs, and 1 cup of chocolate chip cookies. So now that you have the recipe, here's your math challenge. So let's say that I'm getting ready to really to make cookies, and I really want to make them. I committed that I was going to be bringing cookies. I opened my fridge and I only have 1 egg. What do? So if you only had 1 egg, even though the recipe calls for 2 eggs, how are you going to adjust every single ingredient and come up with a recipe that it's basically, that uses just 1 egg? So I want you guys to send me your answers with that recipe using just 1 egg. And then your second challenge is, if in the original recipe, so basically if you base it on this original recipe, right? How much in cups is the flour, sugar, and brown sugar combined? So how many cups are you gonna have if you were to combine the flour, sugar, and brown sugar? Give me your answers. I'd be happy to see them. And I could wait for the cookies and, you know, just kind of talk to you guys. But I think you guys all know what cookies look like. They need to be nice and just golden brown, still soft. You're gonna let them rest for a few minutes before you take them off the cookie sheet so that they don't break. All right? Well, enjoy. See you next time.